Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a real talking point. Alice Figueroa's new erotic novel, Unspoken Bonds. We've got excerpts from the book itself alongside a collection of articles buzzing with different reactions.
Right.
Our mission is to cut through that noise, see what's actually happening in the text, and understand why it's generating such a stir.
Exactly. We're diving into the core relationships, Julia's connection with her yoga instructor, Asha, and with her own mother, Laura, as Figueroa presents them.
Okay.
Then we'll put that up against the immediate critical responses to see where they align and, well, where they clash. It's already clear this novel isn't leaving readers indifferent.
Okay, so the scene is set with Julia and Laura moving to the city after the loss of Julia's father and selling the farm. It's a big upheaval, right?
Huge, a complete change of life.
Laura starts yoga, and Julia, interestingly, immerses herself in World of Warcraft, particularly drawn to the night elf women. What's your take on that initial setup?
What's fascinating here is how Figueroa uses that escapism. Julia's fascination with these powerful, almost otherworldly female figures in her gaming world feels like a subtle early clue.
Oh.
A hint of an attraction she hasn't yet confronted in her own reality. It's, a clever bit of character layering.
It is. And it's through those yoga classes that Julia meets Asha. We see their connection begin with something as simple as tea after class. Seems casual, but
there's a definite undercurrent.
Yeah. Then Asha takes Julia's hand, mentioning how much she enjoys their chats. That feels like a significant little moment.
Precisely. Those early interactions are doing some heavy lifting, establishing a closeness that moves, beyond the typical student-teacher dynamic.
Right.
That physical touch, the explicit appreciation for their conversations, these are breadcrumbs. Figueroa is leaving for us, signaling a deeper connection forming. And for Julia, it clearly resonates.
We see that when Julia starts to recognize her feelings for Asha as something more profound than just admiration. It's a slow burn, but
It's definitely happening.
yeah. Then everything changes when Julia unexpectedly witnesses Asha and Laura together intimately. What struck you most about that turning point?
The sheer unexpectedness is key.
Yeah.
This isn't just a casual glance. It's a moment that shatters Julia's existing understanding of both her mother and Asha.
Right.
It forces her to grapple not only with their relationship, but also with her own burgeoning feelings in a very immediate way.
It's got to be a confusing and maybe even embarrassing moment for her. But then amidst that, she has this powerful realization about her own attraction to Asha, feelings she hadn't fully acknowledged before. And what's interesting is that she can't look away. There's this voyeuristic impulse. Why do you think Figueroa included that detail?
That impulse speaks to a powerful curiosity, I think. A pull that overrides the awkwardness. It's not just about witnessing something forbidden.
Okay.
It's about a dawning recognition of her own desires being mirrored, perhaps even ignited by what she sees. And then Asha makes eye contact and smiles knowingly. What do you make of that?
That knowing smile definitely adds another layer. It suggests an awareness on Asha's part, maybe even a subtle acknowledgement of Julia's presence and perhaps her feelings.
Right.
And then, while looking at Julia, Asha encourages Laura to be more unrestrained. That feels very intentional.
Right.
And we're told Julia has these undeniable physical responses, leading to that startling realization of wanting Asha, possibly more than her own mother. That's a pretty intense moment of self-discovery.
The intensity of that reaction really underscores the power of this revelation. The suppressed desire surging to the surface, combined with the somewhat taboo nature of the relationship she's observing, creates a real internal earthquake for Julia.
Yeah.
That line about wanting Asha possibly more than her mother, it's a raw and honest acknowledgement of this shift in her desires.
Understandably, Julia retreats to her room. It's telling that even her go-to comfort, World of Warcraft, doesn't cut it anymore.
No.
The contrast between that virtual world and her very real emotions is pretty stark. Instead, she decides to observe, gather information, and just process things on her own. That feels like a mature response.
It is. Her usual coping mechanism failing her highlights the profound impact of what she's just witnessed and felt. The decision to step back and observe shows a level of introspection, a desire to understand before reacting impulsively.
And part of that processing is through journaling. It becomes her way to untangle all those thoughts and feelings. The attraction, the confusion about her sexuality, the fear of acting on any of it. It's like she's trying to make sense of this new landscape of her own desires.
Journaling offers a private space for that kind of internal work, doesn't it? It allows Julia to externalize her inner turmoil, to examine those complex feelings from a slight distance. The act of writing can often bring clarity.
Eventually, Julia and Asha meet again at the cafe. It's Asha who brings up the other night. And then she admits something surprising. She wanted Julia to see them. What did you think of that revelation?
It's a bold move by Asha, isn't it? That directness, admitting it wasn't an accident, completely shifts the power dynamic and opens up a space for, well, honest conversation.
Yeah.
It suggests a level of awareness and perhaps even a plan on Asha's part.
And then, like before, Asha takes Julia's hand, acknowledging the complexity of everything. That physical gesture seems really important in their interactions.
It is. That repeated physical connection reinforces the growing intimacy and trust between them. Asha's verbal acknowledgement of the situation's complexity validates Julia's internal struggle and creates a sense of shared understanding.
And Julia finally admits that she's been feeling things too. What follows is this series of very open confessions. Julia's attraction, Asha's reciprocation, and the acknowledgement of Asha's existing relationship with Laura.
Right, laying it all out there.
The excerpt even calls the cafe a sacred space for this truth-telling. That's powerful imagery.
That description of the cafe as a sacred space really highlights the significance of this moment for both of them. It's a place where they can finally be authentic about their feelings, laying the groundwork for whatever unconventional path they might take.
And that unconventional path takes another turn when Laura gets involved. After talking to Asha, she speaks with Julia, acknowledging what Julia saw in the conversation with Asha.
Facing it head on.
Then comes the big invitation. Laura and Asha want Julia to join their relationship as a third partner. What was your initial reaction to that?
It's a significant development and perhaps unexpected for Julia, if not for the reader who has seen the subtle buildup. This invitation to form a triad signifies a major shift.
A huge shift.
In their family dynamic, and a willingness by Laura and Asha to explore a non-traditional relationship structure.
Their reasoning is rooted in a deep care for Julia and a recognition of the connection they all share. Julia, understandably, is in disbelief at first, but she agrees to try. That feels like a leap of faith.
Absolutely. Julia's initial disbelief is a very human reaction to such a life-altering proposal. Her hesitant agreement suggests a mix of apprehension and, well, the pull of her feelings for Asha, coupled with the surprising openness from her mother.
The early days of this triad are all about communication. Hours of talking, laying bare feelings, fears, hopes.
Yeah, the groundwork.
They're setting boundaries, expectations, emphasizing the need to talk openly. We're told there are awkward moments, vulnerability, uncertainty, but also a strong undercurrent of care and respect. Julia finds herself drawn closer to both women, discovering new sides to them. It sounds like a lot of emotional navigation.
It is, and it's a crucial stage for any relationship, especially one that's charting new territory like this. The focus on open communication and establishing those boundaries is essential for building a foundation of trust and respect within this evolving dynamic.
As they connect emotionally, physical intimacy begins to enter the picture. Julia starts to understand her own desires more fully, feeling a freedom in being attracted to both women. It's described as this journey of self-discovery that's exhilarating and at times a little daunting. That mix of excitement and vulnerability seems key.
That phrase, exhilarating and at times a little daunting, really captures the essence of exploring new aspects of one's sexuality and relationships. The growing trust and open communication are what allowed Julia to feel a sense of belonging within this new configuration.
Then we get to their first intimate encounter as a triad. Laura invites Julia to the bedroom, sets a soft mood with candlelight.
Setting the scene.
But it's not just about the physical. There's talk, shared stories, intimate conversation, soft touches, whispers, and it's described as a merging of three souls, emphasizing the emotional and spiritual connection alongside the physical. It sounds very tender.
The focus on creating a gentle and communicative atmosphere for their first intimate experience as a triad is significant. It highlights the care and consideration between them, emphasizing that their connection is about more than just physical attraction. The merging of three souls suggests a deep level of emotional and spiritual intimacy.
Afterwards, there's a sense of peace and contentment. Julia calls it incredible, and Laura feels a new depth of love.
A shared moment of connection.
The next morning, Asha leaves, and we see Julia and Laura entering a new dynamic, with days of astonishingly passionate intimacy.
Right, so the triad dynamic allows for these one-on-one connections to deepen too.
Exactly. They're exploring their own desires and vulnerabilities, redefining their mother-daughter bond into something more. It's like the triad dynamic allows for these individual connections to deepen as well.
Exactly. The departure of Asha creates space for Julia and Laura to explore their own unique connection on a more intimate level. This period of intense closeness allows them to redefine their relationship and discover new layers of shared intimacy.
But this blissful bubble can't last, can it? The outside world starts to intrude.
Inevitably, yeah.
With judgmental looks, whispers, rumors. Laura and Asha holding hands publicly fuels speculation. Julia overhears nasty comments. Laura faces awkwardness at work. And Asha even loses students due to their relationship. It sounds like the social pressure is really mounting.
This is where the realities of navigating a non-normative relationship in a, well, judgmental society become apparent. The external scrutiny and negative reactions highlight the social stigma that often accompanies unconventional relationship structures.
Feeling more and more isolated, Julia reaches out to Maya, someone they'd met before.
Ah, Maya. Right.
She shares her experiences of judgment, that feeling of being trapped. Maya offers empathy, shares her own experiences, and importantly, offers to connect them with a supportive community. That sounds like a crucial lifeline.
Absolutely. Seeking out a community of like-minded individuals can provide invaluable support and validation when facing societal disapproval. Maya's offer of connection represents a potential turning point for Julia and the triad.
They attend this gathering with a mix of nerves and hope, but it turns out to be a really positive experience.
That's good.
They find acceptance, share stories with others in diverse relationships, and realize they're not alone. It strengthens their bond and gives them the courage to be more open about their love. They leave feeling renewed. What's the significance of finding that community?
Finding that community is transformative. It normalizes their experiences, reduces their sense of isolation, and empowers them to embrace their relationship with more confidence. It provides a much-needed sense of belonging and validation in a world that might not always understand or accept them.
Following the gathering, there's a period of reflection. Laura admits to being nervous but relieved. They discuss the importance of this community and the nature of Maya's group.
Processing the experience.
Julia starts thinking about the long-term implications and how they navigate the world as a triad. They have a really open conversation about boundaries, even the possibility of exploring other connections.
Okay.
Julia's unsure about that, but Asha and Laura reassure her to take her time and prioritize her feelings. It sounds like they're building a very intentional and communicative relationship.
This ongoing dialogue about boundaries, expectations, and individual desires is crucial for the long-term health of any relationship, but especially in less traditional structures. The reassurance and emphasis on prioritizing feelings demonstrate a strong foundation of care and respect.
Then comes the dinner invitation from Maya, but her partner David is away.
Okay.
Laura makes a comment about having the night to themselves, and Maya gives this knowing smile, creating a palpable sense of anticipation. It feels like the dynamics are shifting again.
This moment definitely hints at a potential expansion of their intimate circle. David's absence and Maya's reaction suggest that the evening might hold more than just a friendly dinner. The tension is building.
The evening progresses, and they move from dinner to the living room, drawn by this invisible current of desire. Soft lighting, wine, intimate conversation, shared laughter. It sounds like the boundaries are definitely softening.
The atmosphere is changing.
Asha even makes a playful remark about liking Maya's thinking, and they all move to the bedroom. It sounds like things are about to get interesting.
The progression from conversation to a more intimate setting is portrayed as a natural unfolding, driven by mutual attraction and a growing comfort level between them. You can feel it coming.
In the bedroom, Maya takes Laura's hand with a confident grace, and Laura has this almost overwhelming reaction. Julia and Asha are watching with anticipation.
Right. Intense moment for Laura.
Maya's touch is described as explorative, and then Asha playfully suggests upping the ante, leading to a passionate kiss between Julia and Asha.
Ah, okay, so it becomes multi-layered.
Exactly. The scene is described as this dynamic dance of desire, with Maya and Laura connecting intensely while Julia and Asha have their own intimate moment. It's this tapestry of touch and sensation, a living, breathing embodiment of their shared love, with a real sense of giving and receiving pleasure, culminating in a feeling of union. It sounds incredibly intense and interconnected.
This detailed description emphasizes the fluidity and interconnectedness of their desires. The simultaneous intimate connections highlight a comfortable level of openness and a celebration of their shared attraction in a way that includes and respects everyone involved. It's quite a complex dance.
The rest of the night becomes this uncertain blur of intimate love, a kaleidoscope of touch, sound, and sensation, moments of focus with different partners, moments of shared bliss. It's a dance of intertwined limbs, whispers, kisses, and this symphony of pleasure. Julia doesn't remember many specifics, but is left with this overwhelming feeling of being completely and utterly loved, cherished, and desired, a night of breaking down barriers. It sounded like a very liberating experience for her.
The focus on the sensory experience and the overall feeling of being loved and desired underscores the emotional depth of this encounter. It wasn't just physical. It was about a sense of liberation and connection on a very profound level for Julia.
The next morning, Julia wakes with this lingering contentment. The memory of each woman's intimacy is still with her. This encounter with Maya seems to be a catalyst.
A catalyst, good word.
Awakening something essential within Julia. It's more than just pleasure. It's a sense of clarity, a deeper understanding of herself. The confusion she felt before is fading, replaced by self-awareness. She realizes she's meant to be part of this, not just about sex, but about love, trust, and vulnerability. She feels like she's found her place. It sounds like a real turning point in her journey.
This reflects a significant moment of personal growth for Julia. The intimacy has acted as a catalyst for self-discovery, leading to a clearer understanding of her own desires and her place within these evolving relationships. It's a breakthrough.
Asha notices a change in Julia, who realizes she finally understands. It wasn't just about the physical, it was about feeling seen and accepted for who she is.
Feeling seen, that's crucial.
She even connects her past fascination with night elves to this longing for connection and freedom. She's really embracing her true self.
Right, it all starts to click into place for her.
Asha confirms she had a feeling all along and even admits to intentionally creating space for Julia to discover this. That's quite a revelation.
It is. This conversation highlights the importance of feeling seen and understood in forming deep connections. Asha's intentionality in creating that space for Julia underscores her care and understanding of Julia's journey of self-discovery. She was sort of guiding her.
Seems like it. Julia then talks to Laura, confessing her feelings. Laura admits she knew Julia was drawn to Asha, but maybe not to this extent. Her response is really supportive.
Oh, good.
She says, "This changes things, but not in a bad way. We just need to figure out how to navigate this together as a family." That sounds incredibly reassuring.
Laura's reaction demonstrates a strong commitment to their relationship and a willingness to adapt and grow together as a family unit, even with these significant changes in their dynamics. Shows real maturity.
Julia gains a deeper understanding of her attraction, realizing it's not just about physical appearance, but this attraction to the quiet confidence of Laura and the steady guidance of Asha.
So it's about their strength, their essence.
Exactly. She identifies it as an attraction to feminine strength and even realizes she possesses that strength herself. It's like understanding her desires has unlocked something within her.
This articulation of Julia's attraction moves beyond superficial qualities and connects to deeper, more meaningful aspects of her partner's personalities. And the realization that she also embodies this strength signifies her growing self-awareness and empowerment within the relationships.
Yeah.
That's huge for her.
Laura reiterates her support and wanting Julia to feel seen. They talk about Laura's past perceptions of Julia's strength, and Laura reflects on her own journey. Asha then suggests formalizing their commitment.
Formalizing. Okay.
How? Well, they discuss creating a shared home, a sanctuary. They talk about navigating social situations safely and agree on the freedom to explore individual desires outside the triad while prioritizing their core bond.
So setting clear boundaries and agreements.
Yeah, and they even set up regular check-in times for communication. It sounds like they're building a very solid and intentional foundation.
This demonstrates a mature and thoughtful approach to building a sustainable relationship structure. The emphasis on communication, boundaries, individual autonomy, and safety indicates a commitment to each other's well-being. They're really thinking it through.
Then we see Asha initiating some playful role play during yoga, offering personal adjustments with intimate whispers.
Blurring the lines a bit.
Julia shivers as the lines between roles blur, experiencing a fulfillment beyond just the physical, a real desire to please Asha and Laura. She feels this wave of vulnerability and a desire to completely surrender,
Right.
which Asha seems to sense and reassure. Julia's surrender brings this intense pleasure of giving, connecting, and trusting. It sounds like they're exploring different power dynamics within their intimacy.
This scene illustrates the deepening of their intimacy and the exploration of different dynamics within their relationships, including elements of playful power and surrender, all within a context of trust and established boundaries. It's another layer.
The intensity of the following night is described with Julia's focus being on giving pleasure even more than receiving it. Laura playfully comments that Julia was even more passionate than Maya.
Oh, interesting comparison.
And describes her touch as expert. Julia is a bit shy about it, just saying she wanted to please them. Asha affirms that Julia gave them a gift of trust and pleasure. It sounds like Julia is really coming into her own and expressing her desires and connecting with her partners.
This highlights Julia's growing confidence and her focus on the well-being and pleasure of her partners, indicating a deepening of her emotional investment and a growing sense of agency within the relationships. Yeah. She's finding her power in giving.
Afterwards, there's a sense of contentment. Julia wants to do it all again.
Understandably.
Laura jokes that she can only handle that much pleasure once a night, then falls asleep. Julia and Asha share a look, and Asha asks if Julia is serious about wanting more. They quietly move to the living room, where there's this renewed wave of desire and passionate kissing, the need for silence adding to the thrill.
Sneaking away.
Julia's mind wanders, envisioning Asha as a night elf warrior, exploring themes of surrender and power in her fantasy. She's really drawn to Asha. Suppressed passion erupts between them, leading to Asha's satisfaction. And then Julia suggests they go back to Laura, ending on that lingering thought. Let's go back to Laura. It feels like their connections are constantly flowing and intertwining.
This final excerpt reinforces the ongoing intimacy and connection between Julia and Asha, even while their bond with Laura remains central. The blending of fantasy and reality highlights Julia's continued exploration of her desires and her evolving sense of self within the context of these multifaceted relationships. It's complex.
So after this very detailed look into unspoken bonds, let's pivot to how the book has been received. We have an article with a positive queer perspective, praising the novel for its sensitive and necessary exploration of queer female connections, its nuanced portrayal of queer desire, and how it depicts female relationships beyond traditional norms. That definitely resonates with what we've seen in the excerpts, particularly Julia's journey and the development of the triad.
Absolutely. This positive reception underscores the novel's potential to offer meaningful representation and validation for queer female experiences, providing narratives that may be lacking in mainstream literature and that can resonate deeply with individuals seeking to see their own realities reflected.
However, there's also moralistic criticism that raises ethical concerns about the power dynamic between Julia and Asha, and the intimacy between Julia and her mother being labeled as potentially incestuous and lacking a clear moral compass.
Ooh. Yeah.
This is a stark contrast to the consensual and evolving dynamic we see within the novel itself. What might be driving this kind of criticism?
Well, this critical perspective often stems from deeply ingrained societal norms and traditional understandings of family structures and appropriate relationships. The label of incestuous, even when the relationship evolves into a consensual adult dynamic, highlights the discomfort and potential moral objections some may have to depictions that challenge these norms.
Right.
It raises questions about the boundaries of intimacy within families. Even when those boundaries are being redefined by the individuals involved, it hits a nerve for some people.
We also have a very strong denunciation from a figure named Gillis, calling the novel moral degeneracy in a post-Clampett crisis climate.
Clampett crisis. Okay, that adds context.
Accusing it of glorifying harmful connections and undermining ethical boundaries, that's a pretty forceful condemnation. What might be behind such a strong reaction?
Such a strong reaction often reflects a fear of social change and a desire to uphold what are perceived as traditional moral values, especially in times of societal upheaval, as suggested by the mention of the Clampett crisis. This perspective might view any deviation from traditional norms, particularly in the realm of sexuality and family structures, as a threat to the established order. It's a fear-based reaction, maybe.
On the other hand, we have Bradley offering a defense, emphasizing the role of literature in tackling challenging subjects and sparking discussions about love, desire, and societal norms.
The classic defense of challenging art.
This aligns directly with Figueroa's stated intentions. Why is it important for literature to engage with these potentially controversial topics?
Literature has a unique power to explore the complexities of human experience, to challenge assumptions, and to prompt critical thinking about societal norms. By engaging with challenging subjects, it can foster dialogue, increase understanding, and encourage reflection on issues that might otherwise remain unexamined. It can also provide a space for empathy, exploring diverse perspectives safely.
Finally, we have Alice Figueroa's own statement, where she acknowledges the sensitive themes but emphasizes the responsibility of literature to examine the full spectrum of human experience and trusts readers to think critically.
trusting the reader.
Her aim was clearly to spark dialogue about love, desire, and ethics, which is certainly reflected in the range of reactions we've seen and the events within the novel itself.
Figueroa's statement clarifies her artistic intent. She positions the novel not as an endorsement of specific behaviors, but as a means to provoke thought and discussion about complex aspects of human relationships and societal values.
So Unspoken Bonds is clearly a novel that's generating a lot of discussion, both for its intimate portrayal of these evolving relationships and for the very different ways readers and critics are responding to it.
Definitely.
We've journeyed with Julia through her self-discovery, the formation of the triad, and even the expansion of their intimate circle, alongside the external pressures they face.
Yes, and the novel doesn't shy away from the complexities and potential challenges of these unconventional relationships, both internally among the characters and externally from societal reactions. It really forces us to consider our own assumptions about love, desire, and the boundaries we draw.
This deep dive leaves us with this thought for you. In a world where social norms are constantly being questioned and redefined, as hinted at by the backdrop of the Clampett crisis, how do our personal desires intersect with societal expectations?
And what role does literature play in navigating that complex terrain?
We encourage you to consider your own perspectives on the boundaries of relationships and the intricacies of human connection as you reflect on Unspoken Bonds.